Hi guys, so I am just hopping on to do a collective YouTube reading right now. So this is the first one of these I've ever done. I usually read cards pretty much every single day for myself and the people around me. I use tarot cards, oracle cards, and pretty much everything in between. As you can see, it's like a lot to look at. I'm not necessarily a traditional reader. I am sensitive to energy. I'm an intuitive, so I do receive downloads pretty much all day long about things. So reading cards is actually a really big coping mechanism for me and has been on my spiritual journey. However you identify yourself with energetic labels, you could consider yourself an empath, starseed, light worker, twin flame. There's all different types of categories, but they all kind of amount to the same, which is a collective consciousness of people on the spiritual journey. And I feel like that is the group of people that I'm trying to reach with these readings. So it just felt like a very strong message to me from my guides and from spirit, kind of encouraging me to get on here and get going with this sort of thing. So I figured now during this pandemic, where there's so much uncertainty and fear-based negative energy going around, that I could kind of just try to help pay it forward in any way that I can. So that's what I'm doing today. So as you can see, I got a whole bunch of cards out here. I'm kind of like a mad woman when I read, but just to get started, I did pull a few from, which deck is this here? My Chakra Wisdom Tarot, which is a newer deck. They're really pretty. They're kind of color-coded in correspondence with some of the chakras. And a big message that feels like it's coming in with these cards is just that fear of the unknown that everyone is experiencing right now, particularly with careers and relationships and living situations with the Tower here. I never want to say any card is negative, but obviously the Tower card, if you can see it here, is usually a card of destruction. But within that destruction, what is occurring is everything is crumbling down around you that was no longer serving you. So that involves relationships that you were just kind of making work even though you felt stuck in, or partnerships where you're not really feeling the vibe for work anymore, or just friends that are leaving your life, really suddenly. A lot of that kind of thing is going on within the collective, and I know that it feels kind of scary, but those things are crumbling down so that they can be rebuilt, so that the person you can come out on the other side as at the end of all this is your most authentic self. And I did, when I started this reading, one card popped out from my Psychic Tarot here, which is the Destiny card. And to me, I just feel like that is the strongest message that's coming in right now, is what's needed from you as someone who is a part of the collective consciousness. If you are somebody that feels like you are a being of the light, you are sensitive, you are empathetic to what's going on in the world, the best way to channel that ability is to help others. Is to, whether you read cards or you are an artist or a singer or a poet or whatever the case may be, it's really important to share those things right now because we're in desperate need of it. There is a lot of deceptive energy, I want to say, as well, in certain situations that's kind of coming to the surface, and it's causing a lot of anger among people, maybe things that you didn't necessarily see in front of you, and you're kind of beating yourself up for that now. I know it's just a lot that's coming up, but something to remember too, and I do this to myself all the time, is when you have a gut feeling about something, if you're somebody like myself who questions myself over and over and over again, once you get that gut feeling, don't. Especially now where everyone's being upgraded with their abilities and, and sensitivities and stuff like that. If you receive messages from the divine about things, whether it pertains to your own life or the lives of those around you, and something feels off, chances are it probably is. So that's just a message there too. So these are just a couple angelic messages from my Archangel Raphael healing deck, which I like to use with Reiki treatments and stuff like that. So the messages here are exercise is key, recovery, and children. So the messages I feel like are coming through here with the children card is that there are a lot of adults walking around with a bit of a broken inner child, if that makes sense. A lot of traumas that adults went through as children that maybe we all thought were healed. And those things with the mass awakening that's currently taking place on this planet, those traumas are coming up again to be cleared out. The earth is going through a big transitional phase right now. The energy is at an all-time high. And in order to be the best version of your most authentic self, these traumas, these wounds need to come up so that they can come out. And a lot of people are experiencing that right now. So important to remember, if you are going through what feels like a really long emotional purge, if you're crying every day during this pandemic because it's triggering feelings of fear, anxiety, guilt, a lot of that is going to be in relation to inner child wounding that hasn't quite made its way all the way out of the system, but that is what we're working towards now. Another message here, or something that's super important for a lot of people, especially people that struggle with their mental health and stuff like that, the recovery card. So addiction's kind of highlighted here. So a lot of us, who have endured a lot of traumas in life, this current state of affairs is triggering a lot of fight or flight response, which is causing people to dive kind of back into old habits. And if that's something that you do, whether, you or someone you care about self-medicates, be it, via alcohol, drugs, whatever the case may be, although it may be coming up right now again, things that we thought we had healed, just remember that this is temporary. Important to get help if you feel like you need it, but this rest, relaxation, rejuvenation time, although it feels like, really scary that we can't leave the house, etc., the social distancing, stuff like that, the way it's triggering people's mental health, it's also a great opportunity, with most businesses being closed and things like that, to really work on this recovery right now. So if you are someone who is really working to make a big improvement in your life in that area, just know that you are very supported by your divine team and your guides, and you can speak to them about things like this. You can consider it a prayer or whatever, but you have a team all around you at all times, of guides and past loved ones and people, entity and spirit whose sole purpose is to be along this journey with you while you're here on the earth. So try utilizing them and talking to them, because you'll hear back in little ways and you'll feel it, So recovery children and exercise, because another thing that's happening during this quarantine for a lot of people is just that it's that natural inclination to sit back and, want to watch TV every day, want to not go for a walk, want to not leave the house or get fresh air, especially if you're someone who struggles with depression. I know it's much harder. It's even more tempting to just waste the day away and really not do anything. But movement, I think, is key right now for health. So whether you're just going out for a walk, or even if you just turn music on for like 30 minutes a day and just move around, or if you have a yoga mat, just kind of rolling it out in your house and stretching. But the key is to stay moving, which is sort of the essence of life, anyway. It's what spirit's always pushing you to do, is keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. If you're stagnant, stagnant is just as good as death. So you're never not learning, you're always evolving. The spirit always wants to move, so you got to kind of encourage the body to do the same, even when it is all too tempting to just, sit around and do nothing all day, every day. I know that's difficult. I struggle with stuff like that myself as well. But I do think it's important to just kind of use this time to be as active as you can and, fall back in love with the creative passions and things that maybe were important to you as a child, painting, drawing, poetry, channeling. And another message that's really strong for the collective right now is a lot of you are very gifted. A lot of you have been sitting on a lot of gifts, a lot of healing gifts. A lot of people could do a lot with public speaking. A lot of people read cards like myself. A lot of energetic healers. And so I think it's important to remember too, during all this, that even if all you do is be who you are and attempt to inspire people just through living in your truth and shining your light for the world to see. That is valuable and very important right now. And I know a lot of people get down on themselves right now, especially a lot of people who were really excited about business ventures, that they were just getting started, stuff like that. Everything's been put on hold, which is super discouraging. But it's important to remember, as a healer, star seed, light worker, twin flame, whatever you want to call yourself, whatever you identify with, that you are here for a reason, and you signed up to be here during this pandemic, during these uncertain times. You signed up to be here, and you're needed here right now to anchor in new grid working systems so we can create the beautiful earth that we've always wanted to live on. So yeah, don't get down on yourself. A couple other oracle cards here. So the Voyage card, journey, letting go, moving forward. And I think that's a message about letting go of expectations that we've had of ourselves, of our career path. We saw that Tower card a little while ago in the first spread of tarot that I pulled. And you don't have to be fixed on certain ideas and situations and goals. You can change day to day. If something is no longer working for you today that you had planned to accomplish yesterday, if you have changed your set of beliefs from yesterday to today, that is okay. This is a journey of self-discovery. You're not fixed anywhere. You don't have to see things through to the end and suffer for it just because you feel like you have to. If something doesn't resonate anymore, it doesn't resonate anymore, and that's okay. But we definitely live in a society where that message is not necessarily, the one that we hear very often. It's kind of the mentality of like, hustle, 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 9 to 5, you work, pay bills, die. That is not the path for an energy sensitive being. And it's important to understand that and not be so hard on yourself about the things you thought made you happy at one point in time. If those ideas are changing and shifting for you, that is okay. And you can surrender, as you can see here. You can surrender to the journey and kind of set sail and just see where it takes you. That's perfectly okay. That is the essence of spirit. That is the essence of what we're doing here, essentially. Another card here. Let's see. Wash, clean, surrender, release, acceptance. Yeah, just another message about acceptance. And is more water in these cards always. And I feel like the water is just, flow, surrendering to the flow. That is so difficult to do right now. I'm an earth sign myself. I can be super rigid and fixed about things. Flowing is like the hardest thing for me, 110%. It's a pretty card though. But, water moves so that it can stay pure, so that it can, stay clean when you think about waterfalls and stuff like that. Or, if you think about the ocean and the way that it moves and the way that it's kind of however the tides choose to turn. And I think we'd all benefit a little bit from letting a little bit of that water flow into our lives, just kind of letting go of the tight grip and control on the direction of our lives, and kind of just accept that we are instruments of the divine. So there are things you can control and things you can't. And right now, with everything that's going on, it's just a big message of, stop. Whereas prior to this, we were all just spinning our wheels all the time, just running, going. And that's, we're being forced to go within right now. So, just try to release that control. And again, connecting with your guides, angels, your team, your divine team. Just consult with them because they're there. They can hear you all the time. Whether or not you feel like you can hear them, they will connect back to you in ways that you can recognize. Okay? And then another message here is this one's very cool. A bit of a masculine energy to this one as well. The Phoenix, warrior, overcoming obstacles, support. So if anybody who understands energy, you know that every single human being, we all have both masculine and feminine energies within us. So feminine energy tends to be nurturing, emotional, enduring. I don't know what else to say. Masculine energy tends to be direct, empowered, fierce, quick to anger, where, direct, that's the main thing. And specifically in the collective of, I consider myself, I identify as a divine feminine counterpart in a twin flame connection. So I am the divine feminine in that union. However, the other counterpart is masculine. And we both have both of those energies within us, though. So I just feel like the divine feminine as a general on the planet right now is definitely taking a turn, rising above and coming into their power. This whole, the patriarchy and all that. It's the rise of the divine feminine, and I feel like the divine feminine are embodying that masculine energy more, where they're taking action. We're not sitting around anymore. We're not crying all day, every day, We are taking that emotion and pain and turning it into something great and moving forward in our careers and our personal lives. And, and I guess a message for twin flames as well, if anybody watching does identify as one. For a really long time, it's sort of been a situation where the divine feminine is typically the the one party within the twin flame union that is constantly chasing. And the feminine energy at this point in time is just not chasing anymore. She's chasing herself. She's chasing her own dreams. She's chasing her own truth. Myself personally, I know a lot of divine feminines like myself as well are just getting really tired of having our truth pressed down over and over again. Whether that is, in work, in these connections, in our relationships, we're just like so sick and tired of being at the mercy of what everybody else has to say about us, And the magician, that's another echo on the masculine energy as well. So as a magician of your own life, you take all the tools that come to you, you take all the experiences, good, bad, and ugly, and morph them into things that can support you, into tools for your own awakening, for your own life. The magician in tarot is typically a masculine energy as well. So again, I think that the divine feminine energy as a whole is really coming into power right now. Let's see. Page of Pentacles, yeah. So the pages, when it comes to Pentacles, are usually like a more immature, youthful energy around money. And I think a big message for a lot of people right now is you're getting the time to kind of work on finances. I think that's a big message a lot of people are dealing with right now. But a lot of people are kind of putting those final pieces into place about securing their finances and the way they look over their money and, business startups, stuff like that. Let's see, Page of Swords. All right. Six of Pentacles. Yep. Clear away imbalances in your life. So I think that's another message to continue to just let the dead weight fall off in your life. If there are things that aren't serving you anymore, if that's people, jobs, whatever path that may be, living situation. If it's not working anymore, just let it die. Death is not a horrifically negative thing as it is presented to us. It is a transformation. It's a rebirth. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So anything that you are surrendering to the divine is, anything that you're releasing, anything that you're letting go, better things will replace that. And if there's things that you're hesitant to let go because you're fearful that they won't return to you, then that's all the more reason to let them go. That's how the divine works, kind of. If they're meant to be, they'll come back around. And if not, then something much greater will take their place. Okay, the Empress. Create and protect the life you love. So, yeah, I think there's a literal pregnancy on this card, but I feel like that's, again, just a divine feminine message. Divine feminine carries the birth of the new earth that we're trying to bring into reality right now. And so collectively, a lot of us individually as well are reworking our lives from the ground up right now, and pregnant, metaphorically, with ideas, with our own truth. We're birthing this new reality into existence. It's already, the groundwork's already there, it's already anchored in for us, but we just need to be confident with ourselves and, you know, follow your dreams. This is the time to follow your dreams. Don't hold back because you're feeling like people won't receive you well, or you won't be successful. If you are following the aligned path for your life, then you will see the rewards for that 100%. Five of Wands. Obstacles are fleeting, you are eternal. And that's just another message about the soul being eternal. And if you look at this card, you can kind of see all the stars above what looks like to me as like a little floating bridge there. And it's like, number one, probably a message for grounding. That's really important right now if you're sensitive to energy. If you're someone who gets lost in your thoughts and your anxieties, stuff like that, it is important to come back to earth. So salt baths, physically grounding, walking around outside barefoot if you can, visualizing yourself with, white light around you every time you leave the house just to protect you from negative energies. If you are somebody who is energy sensitive, chances are you're going to meet a lot of people who are what we call energy vampires. They're not bad people necessarily. They just maybe don't have a great understanding for energy and how they're taking it from people. So if you are someone who naturally gives off that healer vibe, and you're the person like your friends always go to for advice and stuff like that, chances are you're going to attract a lot of these energy vampires. So just keep a lookout for that and protect your own energy at the beginning and end of every day. I usually like to take time in the shower just to kind of ask as like a little mini meditation as the water washes over me, that it takes away anything, any negative attachments that have been placed on me during the day, knowingly or otherwise. And that does tend to help. The Strength card here. Keep strong and carry on. Yeah. And, stay strong within your beliefs and your foundation. And like I said, I think it's going to be a big year for that divine feminine energy, where we don't want to be repressed anymore in any way. And I think that the voice of the divine feminine is going to rise this year, 100%. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So that's those. What else here? So these are just some oracle cards. I think this was actually the first deck of angel cards that I ever got, and I've just kept it with me for years and years, but let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. So heal away addiction. So again, this is another really strong message in the collective right now is self-medicating. A lot of people diving into that. If you are someone that self-medicates to kind of cope with the energies, just know that there are better ways to do it. And just connecting with your spiritual self. Music is a big thing for helping, I find, with that sort of stuff. And, music, tea, burning sage, incense, essential oil, anything you can do that keeps you motivated to stay away from the self-medication. I know it's tempting, and especially when you are energy sensitive, a lot of us fall into that trap of drinking too much or indulging in drugs, stuff like that, because we're so used to just taking on so much energy from people every day, even before we were ever aware of that. And so the numbing becomes a way to numb it out. Numb out the anxiety, numb out the fear, numb out the collective grief that you might be picking up every single day. But there is a better way to do that, and the best way to connect to your aligned self and with spirit is through a clear mind. So it is difficult, but you can do it. There are ways that you can do it. Throat chakra, that's just another message. The angels are helping you lovingly speak your truth. So again, if you are a healer or somebody that feels like you have a message to share that could be helpful and it's of light, it's needed right now. Crown chakra, a lot of us are receiving a lot of downloads to the crown chakra. That is the area kind of on the back of your head. It is the energy center where you receive divine guidance and information, and there's a lot of downloads happening there right now for everybody, but energy sensitive people specifically. A lot of upgrades. If you have psychic abilities, they're increasing. So just be gentle with your body during this time, because as you experience that, you're going to simultaneously experience that purging of all the junk that's going to come out with it. So you will be better for it after the upgrade occurs, but just pay attention. Pay attention to the music you're hearing, the messages you feel like you're getting. Just keep your eyes open to everything around you, all the ways that the divine is trying to get your attention. Heart chakra. The answer you seek is in your heart right now. Be open to giving and receiving love. And I think that's just a message right now for what everyone is experiencing. This whole pandemic is forcing people to go inward a little bit and explore what's the heart chakra is kind of how you connect to source, to everything. It's the center of energy, and heart, like pain, physical pain can be stored energetically in the heart. That can manifest into a lot of other negative things that you don't want. So it's about, as well, just reconnecting to everybody through the heart, looking at people, seeing them for the soul, not just seeing them as a grocery store worker or somebody walking down the street or the person that makes your coffee in the morning. Right now, we're all being forced and, reminded that we're of one energy. And it's coming back to that, let's see here, coming back to that connection within all of our hearts, that unity consciousness that's really important right now. Shield yourself. So that's just another message about, it says, protect yourself from harsh or fear-based energies by envisioning a cocoon of healing light surrounding you. And again, that's like I said, the energy is super palpable, the negativity that's being created from the news and just and I understand all the tragedy and everything that's occurring with this virus, but that in turn is creating this massive fear response, and it is absolutely, it's like it's vibrating when you leave the house sometimes. So just make sure that you're protecting yourself all the time, envisioning light around you, telling yourself that you're protected, doing affirmations, stuff like that. Doesn't, hurt to carry a protective crystal with you right now when you leave the house. I like jasper and black tourmaline seem to be the best for me to keep me grounded and out of the whole dipping into the whole fear of the collective and stuff like that. Ascended Masters. So I love this card. So this is a big message right now. So if you are a light worker or somebody that is here on earth doing healing work, that's your purpose to be here. And these deities, these people, they are all around you, the people that came before you. So that's like, Jesus, Kuan Yin is on here. Let's see. It's all the people that came before you in literature and stuff like that were healers. Those people, their energy is still around and you can absolutely call on them. But, much like us, they were here in a body at one point in time. They were human beings once too. So remember to come back to your own divinity and tap into your own power, because we are so much more powerful than we really believe that we are. And if you continue to dive in your heart, you will see that. Okay. God box. Write any worries, concerns, or desires on a piece of paper that you put into a special container called a God box as a way of letting go and allowing the divine to help you. So I actually do stuff like that sometimes. I have like a tin out on my little porch here, and if there's something that is plaguing me or a worry or concern that I have, something that's really bothering me, what you can do to kind of take its power away is write it on a little piece of paper what you want to release, the fear or the anxiety or the confusion for an outcome of a situation, and burn it. And what you're kind of doing with that is just kind of And obviously you want to use a fire safe container to put it in after you light it on fire and blow it out. But what that kind of does is releases the energy to the universe and lets the universe work on behalf of you. And the universe, that's a big message, I think, as well. The universe is going to have her way no matter what. If you're somebody that works with the law of attraction and stuff like that, that that's a universal principle. And the way you attract things that you want to come to you is by acting like you already have them, and also just kind of continuously surrendering to the universe, over and over again. The universe provides. Once you understand that you are abundant and everything that you need comes to you within divine timing, okay, you start to see, things manifesting for you rapidly. That's another message for right now. There is a massive power in manifestation. So watch your thoughts, because people don't realize when they have all these like stressful situations going on in their lives and they're like, oh, for instance, when you have one really bad day, one bad thing happens in the morning, like with your car or something like that, and then it's just a chain of events for the rest of the day. That's just an example of that, because one negative thing happened, so you let it impact your energy field, and you stayed within that energy field of that negativity. So then what happens is more negative things, pile on top of the other. But if you have the ability in those moments of negativity to recognize it, and not indulge in it, and kind of reset your vibration again, that's how you can counteract that kind of stuff. Same goes for that in a positive way. So if you are, even if you're not having the best day or you're in poor space, if you can kind of really focus on honing in that positive vibration, and sort of choose not to indulge in the negativity, then you can turn things around and see a really positive impact with that as well. So again, a big message here is the Psychic Tarot as well, which is one of my favorite decks. This is like the corresponding to the Devil card in traditional tarot about temptation. So that is shadows. So good to be doing shadow work right now. We certainly have the time. That's kind of like going within and identifying the parts of yourself that you really don't like, and attempting to reconcile your dark parts with your light parts, because we have both. We have both light and shadows inside every single one of us. And now is the time to stop being so hard on yourself. Stop with the self-hatred. Try to look at your shadows as not these negative, awful things, but instead as just pieces of you that are both the light and the dark, and attempt to integrate those as well. And in turn, what ends up happening when you do the shadow work, when you set the intention of doing the shadow work and the clearing work, although emotionally it can be a lot, is you free yourself of sort of the metaphorical chains, of your soul and these demons that you have. You sort of take their power away by acknowledging their presence and just saying, okay, I see you. I have the intention of making changes in my life. And, as long as the intent is there, every single day you have the opportunity to start over. So, yeah. So, let's see what else here. And, this is a pretty strong message as well. Patience, sort of planting seeds. And also a message for duality. Like I was saying about both dark and shadow, we both have those within ourselves. So it's just about being patient with the self as well. The situation that we're all facing at the moment, this is not anything that we've ever really had to deal with in our lifetime before this pandemic. It's pretty unique. So be patient with yourself, and try to be patient with others as well. This is a lot to take on, and however you're handling it is, if it works for you, who cares how it works for anybody else, right? Okay, let's see. Alrighty. Adversity, sacrifice, yeah. And so I think that a lot of people are taking a good hard look at the trajectory of their life, the way things have been going, a lot of the relationships people have been in where before all this pandemic really got serious, um, we weren't forced to like stop and take a big look at things. So people were just kind of, excuse me, just involving themselves in relationships and partnerships where you thought you were working for the greater good, but um, maybe you've been sacrificing your own wants and needs over and over again and have started to feel resentful for that. If that does come up and cause some anger here, for a lot of us, it's okay. It's just about accepting it and letting it go and just sort of vowing not to continue to do that. Let's see what else here. Yeah, and there's another message here about obligation. A lot of people feeling burnt out and just sort of, I've been spending my life for other people, doing for other people, always at the expense of myself and not my own needs, just constantly looking to other people for validation, looking to other people for direction, when all along you've had the power within yourself. We all do. We all do, but sometimes you need some help getting to see that. But once you finally see it, you realize it's been in there with you all along. You have the strength to power through any situation. You have the energy within you to accomplish anything that you want to do. So as much as it sounds cheesy to say, follow your dreams, you can do anything. You can. It takes dedication and hard work, but it also takes a willingness to love yourself, and self-love is a massive theme, I feel like, for this reading as well. That's just coming through over and over again, is that taking your power back from all the people you gave it to when you spread yourself too thin, and really refocusing and realigning to yourself and committing to manifesting the reality of your life that works best for you, not for other people. Right? Because most people that you're worried about making happy or impressing or worried about their opinions on you, they're only concerned with themselves. So that's that. So maybe a couple messages here, and then I'll kind of wrap this up. Laughter, new idea, you are healed. Peer pressure, again, so that's just another message, I think, on, you know your own path, you know the things you need to do, the things that make you happy. Stop relying on other people to give you the answers to that, because you have the answers within yourself. Again, right. Become the true you. Stop letting other people make decisions for you. Stop letting other people influence you in your thinking, what they're thinking. Because again, most people are only concerned with their own wants and needs. So be concerned with yours. That's not a negative thing. If you are a healer, light worker, whatever you want to call it, by nature, you're never going to stop giving back. You're never going to stop. Your very presence is service work. So stop worrying that you're going to step on people's toes or make yourself small for other people, peer pressure. You don't need to follow the path that everybody else is following just because they're following it. If something feels off about it to you, if something doesn't feel right about it to you, you are responsible for redirecting them. As long as you continue to follow the path of somebody else that they have laid out for you, you will continue to suffer, because you are not being true to yourself. And that will continue to fester and manifest itself in your life in negative ways unless you take control of it now. And you are healed. The healing you've prayed for is on its way. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But, we're going to see collectively, I think, a really big break for a lot of people, specifically that struggle emotionally and mentally right now. I think that a lot of those people are, it's interesting. You see a lot of people who are usually so anxious and like high strung for no reason, right? Right now, are a little bit more calm than those who don't. And I think that's interesting. It's because a lot of us that struggle with anxiety and mental health issues, we had all these incredible gifts that have been suppressed for many years. We've been told there's something wrong with us. We've been told that, you know, that all these diagnoses and stuff, diagnoses and stuff like that. But it's like, I think as a collective kind of always knew that something like this was going to occur. And that's what sort of created that constantly rising and going away of like anxious energy. Because, I know for me personally, like when this all started, the first week or so, I was anxious and freaked out. I had a couple panic attacks and stuff like that, but I've been more calm than I ever have, I think. And that's saying a lot for how broken the structure and the system that we were living in already was. Let's see. Laughter. Yes. So laughter raises your vibrations. So just make sure you're engaging. And yellow to me is always a symbol for joy. So joy, finding joy in things, little things, no matter what it is, whether you're painting, reading, writing, whatever you're sharing on social media, that it is true to your art. Finding joy, reconnecting with your childlike nature. And that message we had earlier about the wounded inner child, it's like the child craves joy always. That's really important. And as adults, we get into these autopilot lives where we don't chase joy anymore. We totally lose our childlike innocence and disconnect from the things that brought us that happiness. And you didn't come into the world to just work, pay bills, and die. You came into the world to be authentically you. You've lived probably thousands of lifetimes. And so when you come back as a child, you start fresh. But along the years through life, a lot of that light gets dim. So that's really important right now, is getting back to that, getting back to basics, that childlike joy. A new idea. Your new idea is divinely guided and is meant to be shared with others. Continue to work on it as you are on the right path. So if you're thinking about doing something really strongly and it keeps nagging you, like this for me is really outside of my comfort zone, the whole, reading thing, YouTube, stuff like that. But it keeps coming up for me over and over again. That's usually a nudge from spirit trying to tell you, yes, we support you. Yes, this is a good idea. Yes, flow with this. So if you're getting those messages, don't, give into it. Don't be fearful. Give it a shot. Worst thing that can happen is you fail. Who cares, So I think that's probably good for right now because I feel energetically exhausted and my timer is going off. So thank you for being here with me. I hope to do more of these in the future and I hope that helped you. All right, thanks.